his veins. Who knows? Now, why does this kind of thing happen? Because there is nobody to talk to, nobody to turn to. Now that's a great pity, because one of the hallmarks of our culture, which we have nurtured and protected through the ages, is a caring society. There's hardly anybody in our country who does not have a friend. It is different in some Western cultures. I mean, you may be there in a room, and nobody would discover this until the big problem started. Now, this is not the culture of Sri Lanka. Only somebody who can walk around to be behind from. Very important not to move away from the moorings, the anchor of that culture. And here again, we must address the issue in a way that is common to both the secular and the Indian communities. There is no difference at all. The next area is political representation and political activity. Here, I think nothing is more important than political activity at the grassroots level, at the Pradesh level in this country, because that is where government comes directly into contact with the people. And that is the acid test of a vigorous and vibrant democratic system. And that we have throughout the country, up and down the country, without any distinction between areas which are inhabited mainly by the senior community and areas where the majority of the inhabitants are. Then I want to say a word to you about the final area, which is responsibility and belonging. That's a very happy phrase. The rules phrase, responsibility and belonging. I was very struck by a comment which the Honorable Vasudeva Nanayakkar made in his remarks to us a few moments ago. He posed the question, what is national integration? What is social integration? And he suggested a very interesting definition. He said, social integration is social harmony and collective achievement. Those are the words of the Honorable Minister. He said, social harmony and collective achievement. Now I want to emphasize this. You know, we have had a history of this in our country. I want to say a word about some issues relating to differences between communities and so on. Much has been made of that in some quarters. It is not a problem of the magnitude that it is supposed to be, but it is very much a part and parcel of our culture that communities have lived alongside each other. I mean, you go to any village, if there is a wedding in that village, the Sinhalese, the Muslims are all there. Nobody worries about distinctions. They celebrate together, they share the joys and the sorrows of life. If it is a funeral, they share the grief. If it is a happy occasion, a child coming of age, or a marriage, or a child graduating from university, they all get together in unison, irrespective of racial or communal differences, and we celebrate together. In fact, our systems of land tenure, which is one of the principal characteristics of the society, are structured on that basis. F.A. Haley, King's Counsel, in his famous work, Sinhala Laws and Customs, deals with the kind of society that existed in Ceylon, as the country was then called, before the advent of the British. And one of the seminal concepts in that system was, if you own land, it is not just an individual matter, but you accept obligations in relation to the entire community. So with the ownership of land comes certain obligations which compulsorily devolve upon you, to look after those who are sick or vulnerable, and those were obligations that were voluntarily and effectively discharged in terms of the customs which prevailed at the time. Now, that is why, in keeping with the minister's definition, social harmony, our society contains within it certain inbuilt structures to reduce tensions and to promote harmony. It is built into the system. Every country has its own culture, has its own social organization. That is why I want to say that foreign intervention in those situations is entirely counterproductive. I mean, these are the nuances of the national culture, the national context are of overriding importance. And however well-intentioned some of these attempts may be, the perception is also important. As far as Sri Lanka is concerned, we scrupulously respect the identity of other nations. We do not comment on their domestic issues. We respect their independence, we respect their sovereignty, we respect their right to address sensitive issues in their countries in keeping with their own traditions and their own culture and the aspirations of their own people. And Sri Lanka expects reciprocity in that regard. Therefore, anything that is open to the construction of interference in sensitive domestic issues is not beneficial in any manner whatsoever. Now this is a thought that I want to leave with all of you, to mull over. Nobody is more interested in achieving what the Honourable Minister described as social harmony. Nobody is more interested in than we are. One here, live here, and at the end of the day we lay down our bones. And a country which has paid so exorbitant a price for 30 years of conflict, with its eyes fully open, is not going to go into another conflict. So this is a matter which is very much in the minds of the people of Sri Lanka. And it is not something which would invite excessive foreign interest or foreign initiatives which may appear, which may be perceived as a form of intervention. So this is a thought that I would like to leave with you. I am very happy that this is an ongoing exercise. The Honourable Minister was telling me that they are looking forward to a feedback from various levels of society. And they will draw on the experience of Germany and the experience of Sri Lanka. We must not try to reinvent the wheel. By all means, look at experiences that are useful in other countries. And there are many such experiences in Germany. But we must always have the creativity to adapt those experiences to suit the conditions in our own country. So these are the thoughts that I would like to share with you, and I would like to convey to you my warm thanks for the honor that you have bestowed upon me by inviting me to speak to you on this occasion. I appreciate that opportunity, and I wish you the best. Thank you very much.
Frederick Buren කියන විතර බරක් යාත් වෙනවා. අපි පොදුවේ මුහුණ පාන ගැටලුව, ඒ වගේම අපි පොදුවේ මුහුණ පාන ප්‍රශ්න විසඳා ගැනීමට හොඳම ප්‍රයත්නය තමයි අපි පොදු ප්‍රයත්න එකමුතු ප්‍රයත්නයකින් අදවතුනා කියන කාරණය. විශේෂයෙන්ම දශක 3ක මේ රටේ යුද්ධයකට පස්සේ පශ්චාත් යුද්ධ සමයක කාලය ගත වෙන අතර මේ යුද්ධය හඳුනා ගන්නට එවැනිම අත්දැකීම් ඇති රටවල අත්දැකීම් හඳුනා ගැනීම පිළිවෙත් හඳුනා ගැනීම ඉතා අවශ්‍යයි. පශ්චාත් යුද්ධ සමයක වන සමාජයක සමාජ ඒකාබද්ධතාවය ඇති කිරීමේදී එල්ලවන අභියෝග ජනකී අත්දැකීම් තුළින් මෙම සාකච්ඡාවේ සංසද මාලාවේ සමාරම්භ සිටීමේ පිළිපත් කරන්නට අපි ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කරනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ සහ මානවීය ජනරාජ්‍ය Jerman Tanapati Acharya Yupal Mohammed.
நடந்தவை நடந்தவைகளாகட்டும், இனி நடப்பவைகள் நல்லவைகளாகட்டும். அந்த வகையிலே மக்கள் மத்தியிலே புரிந்துணர்வும் நல்லுணர்வும் தான் மிக மிக அவசியமாகும். யுத்தத்தின் பின்னரான சமூகத்தில் சமூக ஒருமைப்பாட்டினை ஏற்படுத்துவதில் எதிர்நோக்கும் சவால்கள் பற்றி ஜெர்மனியின் அனுபவத்திலிருந்து உரையாற்றுவதற்காக இலங்கை மற்றும் மாலத்தீவு குடியரசுக்கான ஜெர்மனிய அரசாங்கத்தின் மேன்மிட்டங்கிய தூதுவர் கலாநிதி யூகன் மோகன் அவர்களை நாங்கள் கௌரவத்தோடு அழைக்கிறோம்.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to call upon His Excellency Dr. Hubert Mohan, the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany to Sri Lanka and the Republic of the Maldives, to address the gathering on the challenges to social integration in the post-war society's experiences from Germany.
Honorable host and Executive Director of the Institute, Honorable Minister Nanaya Clara, Honorable Minister Perez, Honorable Madam Secretary Ikarasinge, dear Mrs. Panagoda, Excellencies, colleagues from the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure for me that I'm here today at the inaugural session of the discussion series on national policy on social integration. It is also an intellectual challenge for me to speak after His Eminence intellectual capacity, Professor Perez, who has such a profound insight knowledge in the topics. Let me start to assure you that Germany feels very privileged to be a partner of the Ministry of National Language and Social Cohesion, to be a partner in supporting your efforts to create greater awareness about the importance of social cohesion and integration in Sri Lanka, to be a partner to help you in achieving social harmony. In today's globalized world, almost every country faces the challenges of creating an all-inclusive society. We all have colleagues, neighbors, friends, and some even partners who come from different religious, ethnic or linguistic backgrounds, are differently able or believe in different values. The learning to understand, to accept, to respect each other's differences is something we all experience on a daily basis. This in itself is already quite a task, but it is, as everybody is aware, only the first step. The challenges for our globalized societies and policymakers is to channel this immense cultural wealth of diversity and human potential into a positive drive for every society. Ultimately, a society can only unleash its very full potential when every citizen is empowered and has a chance to actively participate in economic, political, and social sphere of life. When individuals become active members of society, then they make the best use of their talents, their skills, their creativity, to find solutions to issues on their own without waiting for someone else to come and help them. The close and the positive link between individuals and societal development is clearly reflected in the new national policy framework on social integration, which will be discussed in a broader framework over the next weeks here in the Institute. I have been asked to share some experiences from Germany with you. I myself, I have to find out in the brief, I'm nice and expert, very knowledgeable in the specific areas of social integration. That is something for experts. I tried hard over the weekend, but even trying looking closer into the subject, which rather confused me than enlightened me, because it's such a complex issue, particularly in the German context. Social integration could mean integration of individuals into a community or society. It could mean the integration of systems, like states, as we had to manage ourselves during the process of unifying East and West Germany after the fall of Berlin Wall. Or it could mean both, integrating individuals and the systems at the same time. However, I understood through my readings that social integration has a lot to do with beyond what has been already said here, creating the very fundamentals of a society in order to achieve politically stable and economically sustainable nation state. After wars and post-war scenarios, when societies, social fabric, social orders had literally been destroyed, social integration had been a paramount task, and Germany is looking back on its past with many wars and conflicts. Don't worry, I like to make a long history short. My findings over the weekend led me to the conclusion that social integration has indeed been a long-standing preoccupation for us Germans. starting with forming a unified nation in the late 1900th century, the rebuilding of our nation societies after World War I and World War II, including rehabilitation of victims and punishment of war criminals, as well as welcoming after many years returning detainees. Then later the efforts to bridge the North-South divide within Germany itself, being followed then the Protestant-Catholic drifts, which divided us quite strongly in the 60s. This only proceeded then the last 2 decades to unite East and West. Moreover, it was finally the persisting anxiety about class polarization that had threatened the Weimar Republic, which produced then very successfully a consensus model of the post-war welfare state in Germany. All these complex measures and this preoccupation with national and social integration, as already said, confused me while looking for a specific blueprint to present to you today. Therefore, I think it's most appropriate to resume for you briefly the overall challenges of social integration in Germany today. Germany is the most populous country